The fluorescent tubes in Suds and Cycles hum at a frequency that makes my back teeth ache. Tuesday nights, 10:47 p.m., I'm always here. Have been for 8 months now, ever since the upstairs neighbor complained about my washer's spin cycle shaking his floor at midnight. The laundromat closes at 1, and by the time I arrive, it's just me, the attendant dozing behind his phone at the counter, and the mechanical thrum of industrial dryers. I'm 26. I work remote for a medical billing company, which means my days bleed into nights without friction. I eat dinner at 9, I do laundry at 11, I go to bed at 3. The schedule works because I live alone in a garden apartment on Maple, 4th building in a complex of 12 identical structures, each one the color of wet cardboard. The laundromat is a rectangle. 6 washers along the left wall, 6 dryers along the right, a folding table down the center, vending machines humming in the back corner beside the single bathroom. The front windows face the parking lot and the street beyond, but the glass is so smudged with handprints and detergent residue that headlights just smear across the surface like something spreading. She's always here when I arrive. Mrs. Pemberton. I don't know if that's actually her name. I invented it in my head after the first month of seeing her because I needed to call her something when I thought about her, and she looks like a Pemberton. Mid-70s, maybe older, soft white hair pinned back with a tortoiseshell comb, pale blue cardigan even in summer, sleeves pushed to her elbows. She sits on the orange plastic chair closest to washer number 3. Hands folded in her lap, and watches the window of the machine with the attention of someone waiting for water to boil. She's always washing the same dress. It's floral, little yellow roses on a white background, with a Peter Pan collar and buttons down the front. The fabric is thin, worn soft by decades of washing, and through the glass of the machine I can see it tumbling in the soap foam, the yellow blurring into cream, then sharpening again as it rotates past the light. We've never spoken. I nod when I come in, she nods back. Her mouth moves sometimes, like she's counting, but no sound comes out. The attendant, Marcus, I think, based on the name tag he wears some nights, never interacts with her. I've never seen him take her money. I've never seen her use the card reader on the machine. But every Tuesday at 11 p.m., she's in that chair, and that dress is in that washer. I load my clothes into washer number 5. Darks tonight. Jeans, 2 pairs of leggings, a stack of black work shirts that all look identical. I pour detergent from the bottle I keep in my tote bag. The smell is synthetic lavender, too sweet, and it coats the inside of my nose. I close the lid. The machine groans to life, water rushing into the drum with a sound like a faucet opened too fast. Mrs. Pemberton's washer clicks off. She stands, moving slowly, and opens the lid. The dress is a wet, coiled shape in the bottom of the drum. She lifts it with both hands, water streaming off the hem, and carries it to the dryer directly across from her chair. She loads it, closes the door, feeds quarters into the slot. I can hear them clinking down the chute, 4 of them. Then the dryer starts with a heavy metallic rattle. She sits again, folds her hands, watches. I pull out my phone and scroll through nothing. An email from my mother in Ohio, a shipping notification for vitamins I ordered last week. The Wi-Fi here is terrible, so most images don't load, just gray boxes with spinning icons. The air smells like hot lint and dryer sheets, and something faintly sour underneath, like old mop water. The floor is poured concrete, painted gray, but the paint has worn through in paths between the machines. I can feel the cold of it through my sneakers. At 11:34, Mrs. Pemberton's dryer stops. She stands again, opens the door, pulls the dress out, and holds it up to the light, examining it the way you'd examine an X-ray. Then she folds it, slow and precise, sleeves in first, then lengthwise, then in half again. She places it in a canvas tote bag that sits on the floor beside her chair. She picks up the bag. She walks to the door. The bell above it jingles. She's gone. This has happened every Tuesday for 8 months. Tonight is the first time I realize I've never seen her arrive. The thought arrives with my clothes still spinning, and it sits in my chest like a stone I swallowed. I've been coming here at 10:47 for 8 months. She's always already here. But the laundromat doesn't open until 6 a.m., and it's not like she's here all day. Marcus would have mentioned it, wouldn't he? Or I would have seen her on a different night, some other errand. But I haven't. Only Tuesdays. Only at 11 p.m. I stand and walk to the chair where she sits. It's still warm.
The seat is orange plastic, cracked along the left armrest, and the warmth is faint, but undeniable. The kind of heat a body leaves behind. I touch the back of the chair, also warm. I look at washer number 3. The lid is closed. I open it. The drum is bone dry. I close the lid. I open the dryer across from the chair, also dry. No lint in the trap. My pulse taps against my throat. I walk back to washer number 5. My load is still running, the drum sloshing back and forth, suds climbing the glass. I look at Marcus. He's scrolling on his phone, screen lighting his face in blue flickers. I walk to the counter. "Hey," I say. He glances up. "Yeah?" "That woman who was just here, Mrs. Pemberton." "Who?" "The older woman, white hair, blue cardigan. She's here every Tuesday." He shakes his head. "Just you tonight." I point at the chair. "She was sitting right there. She just left." Marcus looks at the chair, then back at me. His face is neutral, patient, the expression of someone used to handling confused customers. "I've been here since 9. You're the only one who's come in." My mouth is dry. I swallow, but it doesn't help. She washes a floral dress, yellow roses. Every week, same time. "Look," Marcus says, setting his phone down, "I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody else has been in here tonight." He gestures at the washer. "Your load's almost done. You okay?" I nod, but I'm not. I go back to my washer and stand there, arms crossed, staring at washer number 3, the chair beside it, the dryer. At 11:52, my washer clicks off. I transfer my clothes to the dryer, feed in quarters, start the cycle. Sit in the chair closest to my machine and wait. The dryer hums. The fluorescents hum. Marcus's phone screen glows. At 12:14, I hear the bell above the door. I look up. Mrs. Pemberton walks in. She's wearing the pale blue cardigan, sleeves pushed to her elbows, tortoiseshell comb in her white hair. She's carrying the canvas tote bag. She walks to washer number 3, opens the lid, pulls the floral dress from the bag, dry, neatly folded, and shakes it out. She loads it into the washer, pours detergent from a bottle that appears in her hand and wasn't there a second ago, closes the lid. The machine starts. She sits in the orange chair, folds her hands, watches the window. I stand. My legs feel distant, like they belong to someone else. I walk toward her, slowly, and the floor under my feet is silent. I should hear my sneakers on the concrete, but I don't. I stop 3 feet from her chair. "Excuse me," I say. She doesn't look at me. Her eyes stay fixed on the washer window, where the dress is starting to tumble in rising water. "Mrs. Pemberton?" Her mouth moves. I can see her lips shaping words, but there's no sound. I step closer. Her hands are folded in her lap, and I can see through them to the orange plastic of the chair beneath. My heart stops, restarts, hammers. I look at Marcus. He's still scrolling on his phone. I look back at Mrs. Pemberton. She's solid now. Hands opaque, face fully present. The washer churns. "Why are you here?" I ask. She turns her head and looks at me for the first time in 8 months. Her eyes are pale gray, the color of dishwater, and they don't blink. "I'm keeping it clean," she says, "for when she comes home." "Who?" My daughter. She wore this the day she left. She'll want it when she gets back. The fluorescents flicker. Once, twice. The light takes on a sepia tint, like old photographs, and I smell something under the detergent and lint. Something floral and rotten, like lilies left too long in a vase. How long have you been waiting? I ask. 30 years, she says. But it's only Tuesdays. Tuesday nights. That's when she left. The washer clicks through its cycle. I watch the dress tumble, yellow roses blurring and sharpening. My throat is tight. What's your daughter's name? I ask. Lacey. Lacey Pemberton. She was 16. The name sits in my head, familiar but distant. I pull out my phone. My hands are shaking. I open the browser and type Lacey Pemberton missing. The Wi-Fi is slow, but the results load. The first link is a news archive from 1994. I click it. Local teen found deceased. Lacey Pemberton, 16, was discovered in Millwood Park on June 14th, 2 weeks after being reported missing. Authorities have ruled the death a homicide. Services will be held at Riverside Methodist Church. I scroll down. There's a photo, a school picture, a girl with white blonde hair and a shy smile, wearing a floral dress. Yellow roses on white fabric. Peter Pan collar. I look up. Mrs. Pemberton is still watching the washer. Mrs. Pemberton, I say, and my voice cracks. Lacey was found. She'll come home. I keep it clean. She'll want it when she gets back.
The washer clicks off. She stands, opens the lid, lifts the dress, water streaming, carries it to the dryer, loads it. Quarters clink. The dryer starts. She sits. I'm crying. I don't know when it started, but my face is wet and my chest is hitching. I wipe my eyes with my sleeve. She's not coming home, I say. She died 30 years ago. Mrs. Pemberton doesn't look at me. Her hands are folded, her mouth moves, counting the rotations. Mrs. Pemberton. My dryer buzzes. I jolt, turning. My clothes are done. I look back at the orange chair. It's empty. Washer 3 is open, lid up, drum dry. The dryer across from it is silent, door ajar. No tote bag, no woman. Marcus calls from the counter. You folding here or taking it home? I turn. Did you see her leave? See who leave? I point at the chair. My hand is shaking. The woman, she was just... Marcus stands, walks around the counter. He's frowning now, concerned. Hey, are you okay? You want me to call someone? No, I'm fine. I'm not fine. I pull my clothes from the dryer, shoving them into my tote without folding. My hands won't stop shaking. I pay Marcus. He waves me off, says it's fine, just go home and get some sleep. And I walk to my car. The night air is cold and damp, smelling like asphalt and cut grass. I sit in the driver's seat and grip the steering wheel until my knuckles go white. I don't go back the next Tuesday. Or the Tuesday after that. I wash my clothes in the bathtub and hang them on the shower rod to dry. It takes longer. The apartment smells like mildew, but I don't go back. 3 weeks later, I'm at the grocery store on a Saturday morning, and I see Marcus in the cereal aisle. I almost turn around, but he spots me. Hey, haven't seen you around. Yeah, I got a new washer. He nods. Cool. Hey, weird question. You remember asking me about some old lady, Mrs. Pemberton? My stomach drops. Yeah. I was talking to the owner, Mr. Davies, and I mentioned it. He got this look on his face.
said there used to be a regular, years ago, named Iris Pemberton. Always came in Tuesday nights, always washed the same dress. Her daughter went missing in the 90s and got killed, and Iris kind of lost it after that. She'd come in every week and wash the dress her daughter was wearing when she disappeared. Did it for years. When did she stop? I ask. Marcus shifts his weight. She didn't. She died in the laundromat. Heart attack, right there in the chair. That was 5 years ago. The cereal aisle is bright and cold. The fluorescents hum. I can smell cardboard and artificial strawberry from the boxes on the shelves. Which chair? I ask. Number 3, right by the washer she always used. I don't remember driving home. I don't remember putting the groceries away. I sit on my couch and stare at the wall until the light outside turns gray, then dark. That night, I dream about the laundromat. I'm standing at washer number 3, and the lid is open, and inside the drum is the floral dress, but it's wet with something darker than water. The smell is lilies, rotten and sweet. And when I reach for the lid to close it, a hand reaches up from inside the drum and grabs my wrist. I wake up at 3 a.m. gasping. My wrist aches where the hand grabbed me in the dream, and when I turn on the light, there's a red mark there, thin and precise, like fingers pressed too hard. I get up. I check the locks on my door, the windows. I turn on every light in the apartment. I don't sleep the rest of the night. Tuesday comes. I don't go to the laundromat, but at 10:47 p.m., I'm sitting on my couch with all the lights on, and I hear it. Faint, but unmistakable, coming from somewhere I can't locate. The sound of a washer drum starting to spin, and the metallic clink of quarters dropping down a chute. I check my phone. There's a notification. A new email. The subject line is blank. The sender is listed as L. Pemberton. I open it. The message is just 2 words. Come home. I delete it. Close the email app. Turn my phone off, but when I turn it back on an hour later to check the time, the email is there again, unread. I call my mother in Ohio. I tell her I might visit for a while, maybe a few weeks, maybe longer. She sounds pleased. I book a flight for Thursday. Tuesday night comes around again. I'm in Ohio by then, sleeping in my childhood bedroom, with the door locked and a chair propped under the handle. But at 10:47 p.m., I wake to the sound of quarters clinking. I sit up. The room is dark. The sound is coming from the closet. I don't open the closet door. I turn on the light and sit on the bed until morning.
I stay in Ohio for 2 months. I find a new job, local, in person. I get a sublet closer to my mother's house. I don't go back to my apartment in the complex on Maple. I hire someone to pack my things and ship them. When the boxes arrive, I open them one by one, inspecting every item. In the bottom of the last box, wrapped in a trash bag, I find the floral dress, yellow roses on white fabric, Peter Pan collar. It's clean and neatly folded, and it smells like synthetic lavender. I burn it in my mother's backyard. I watch the fabric curl and blacken, the yellow roses disappearing into smoke. The smell is chemical and wrong, and it lingers in my nose for days. But every Tuesday night at 10:47,
I still hear it, wherever I am, whatever I'm doing. The sound of a washer starting, the clink of quarters. And sometimes, if the room is quiet enough, I hear her counting under her breath, soft and endless, waiting for a daughter who will never come home. I don't do laundry on Tuesdays anymore. I don't do laundry at night. I use a laundromat 3 towns over, and I go at noon on Saturdays, when the place is full of families and noise and light. I never sit. I never look away from my machine. I never speak to anyone. I keep my apartment locks changed every 6 months. I sleep with the light on. I don't own anything floral. And I never, ever wear yellow.
The laundromat sits on the corner of Maple and 4th, wedged between a shuttered pharmacy and a tax office that only opens during season. I come every Thursday at 7, after my shift at the library ends, but before the evening crowd arrives. The fluorescent tubes flicker in their usual pattern, 3 steady, 1 strobing, casting the rows of white machines in alternating brightness and shadow. The air smells of overheated metal and synthetic lavender, with an undercurrent of mildew from the drains. I always use machine number 7. It's the 3rd from the left in the middle row, the one with the chipped control dial and a faint rust stain along the door seal. The building's heating system clanks through the pipes overhead, a rhythmic knock that marks time while I sort colors from darks. My routine is exact: 35 minutes for the wash, 50 for the dry, folding on the long table by the window where I can watch cars pass under the streetlights. I'm 28. Single. I've lived in this town for 3 years, ever since I took the cataloging position. My apartment is 4 blocks away, a 2nd-floor studio with a radiator that hisses and a kitchen window that overlooks a parking lot. I know the librarian's schedule, the produce delivery days at the corner market, the postal worker's first name. This place has become mapped into my body, its rhythms synchronized with mine. Tonight, the laundromat is nearly empty. An older man reads a newspaper by the front window. The hum of the machines creates a white noise that fills the space like water. I load my clothes into number 7, add detergent, set the dial to cold, and press start. The drum begins its rotation. I settle into the orange plastic chair with my book. 35 minutes pass. The machine signals completion with 3 sharp beeps. When I open the door, steam escapes in a cool draft that makes me pull back. The smell hits me first. Not lavender, but something older. Damp cotton. A trace of rosewater perfume, faint and stale. My clothes are there, but pressed against the drum's back wall, as if pushed aside. Lying on top, carefully arranged, is a nightgown. It's vintage, the kind with eyelet lace along the collar and cuffs. The fabric is thin, nearly translucent, a pale cream color that darkens to gray where water has pooled in the folds. I don't touch it. I stare at the delicate embroidery along the neckline. Tiny flowers in a chain, each petal stitched with precision. I didn't put this in the machine. My hands shake as I lift the nightgown by the shoulders. It's completely soaked, heavy with cold water that drips onto my shoes. The cotton is aged, fragile, and when I hold it up to the light, I can see thin places where the weave has begun to separate. I check the pockets of my jeans, still tumbling slowly in the drum. I count my shirts, my underwear, my socks. Everything I loaded is accounted for. The nightgown
doesn't belong to me. I look around the laundromat. The old man is gone. 2 college students fold towels 3 rows over, laughing about something on a phone. No one is watching Machine 7. No one is watching me. I drape the nightgown over the side of the sorting table and transfer my wet clothes to the dryer. My heart is beating too fast. There's a rational explanation. Someone used the machine before me, left something behind, the cycles overlapped somehow. Except, I watched the machine. It was empty when I opened it. I loaded it myself. I throw the nightgown into the lost and found bin by the door and start the dryer. The next Thursday, I arrive at 7 exactly. The same fluorescent flicker, the same lavender mildew smell. Machine 7 is available. I load my clothes, add detergent, press start. This time I don't sit. I stand 3 feet away, arms crossed, watching the porthole window as my clothes tumble in soapy water. 35 minutes, 3 beeps. I open the door slowly. The nightgown is there again. Same eyelet lace, same embroidered flowers, same pale cream fabric soaked through. It sits on top of my clothes like an accusation. The water dripping from it is ice cold when it touches my wrist. My breath comes shorter. I pull out the nightgown and search the drum with both hands, feeling along the rubber seal, checking for a hidden compartment or gap where something could have been trapped. Nothing. The metal is smooth, unbroken. I look around the laundromat. 6 other people, none of them near Machine 7, none of them paying attention. I take the nightgown to the front counter where Richard is sorting change. He's 50-something, with gray stubble and permanent exhaustion carved into his face. He's owned this place for 2 decades, took it over from his father. "This keeps showing up in my machine," I say, holding up the nightgown. Water drips on the counter. Richard's face drains of color. His hand reaching for a roll of quarters stops mid-motion. He stares at the fabric like I'm holding a severed limb. "Which machine?" His voice is thin. "7. He takes the nightgown from me carefully, holding it away from his body. His jaw works silently for a moment. "I'll take care of it." "Has anyone else complained about this?" "No." "Do you have security cameras?" He hesitates, then nods toward the corners of the room. I count 4 cameras, their red lights blinking steadily. "Can I see the footage? From when I was here last week?" Richard sets the nightgown on the counter and disappears into the back office. I wait, counting my heartbeats, feeling the other customer's eyes on me. He returns with the tablet and cues up the recording. Thursday, 7 p.m. The timestamp runs in the corner. I watch myself enter, walk to Machine 7, load clothes, start the cycle, sit down. The angle captures the whole row of machines. For 35 minutes, no one approaches number 7. The timer in the corner ticks forward. I watch myself stand, open the door, recoil slightly, and pull out the nightgown. But in the footage, the machine is empty when I open it. I'm pulling the nightgown from nothing. On screen, my hands mime the action of lifting fabric, but there's only air between my fingers. I'm draping invisible material over the sorting table. "That's not..." I start, but Richard shakes his head. "I see what you see," he says quietly. "The camera is broken." All 4 cameras show the same thing. He closes the tablet. Different angles. My throat tightens. Then where did the nightgown come from? Richard looks at the wet fabric on his counter. 20 years ago, a woman died here, Margaret Chen. She was retrieving something from one of the industrial machines in the back. We don't use those anymore. And she leaned in too far. The door closed. The cycle started. He stops, swallows. My father found her 3 hours later. He didn't call the police, didn't report it. He was afraid they'd shut us down, fine him into bankruptcy. So he handled it privately. Paid off the corner, paid off her family, buried it. The floor tilts under me. Which machine? We got rid of it, sold it for scrap. But she died wearing a nightgown. Vintage, cream-colored. She'd brought it in to wash because it was delicate. It was her grandmother's. I pick up the nightgown from the counter. The embroidered flowers catch the light. This one? I've never seen the actual garment. The family took her belongings. Then how? I don't know. Richard's hands are shaking now. I don't know what you want me to say.
I leave the nightgown with him and go home. That night, I dream of drowning. Not in water, in fabric. White cotton wrapping around my face, my throat, filling my mouth. I wake up gasping, sheets tangled around my legs. The next Thursday, I bring my laundry to a different place, 4 miles across town. I use machine 12. The cycle completes. I open the door. The nightgown is there, soaked and cold, its eyelet lace clinging to my clothes. I stumble out of the laundromat and vomit in the parking lot. At home, I tear apart my apartment looking for an explanation. I check my credit card statements online, scrolling back through weeks of purchases. On October 3rd, there's a charge to vintagethreads.com for $47. I don't remember making it. On October 10th, another charge to the same site, $32. October 17, $51. Every week, going back 2 months. I call the website. A recorded message tells me they specialize in estate sale clothing and authentic vintage sleepwear. I check my email. There are order confirmations I never opened, shipping notifications I never read. 6 nightgowns, all described the same way. 1940s cream cotton with eyelet lace and floral embroidery. Delicate hand wash only. My hands won't stop shaking. I don't remember ordering them. I don't remember the purchases. I don't remember anything. I call my sister in Portland. She's a nurse. I tell her I think I'm sleepwalking. How do you know? She asks. I'm buying things online at night. I don't remember doing it. There's a long pause. Has this happened before? No, I don't think so. You need to see a doctor tonight. This isn't... Sarah, if you're moving around unconscious, you could hurt yourself. I make an appointment with a neurologist for next week. I install a motion sensor camera in my bedroom, pointed at my bed. I put my laptop in the closet and change all my passwords to long strings I have to write down. That night, the camera catches me getting up at 2:47 a.m. I'm wearing pajamas. My eyes are open but unfocused. I walk to the closet, remove the laptop, open it, and type for 11 minutes. At 2:58, I close the laptop, return it to the closet, and walk back to bed. I lie down and go still. In the morning, I check the laptop. There's a new order on vintagethreads.com. Another nightgown, cream cotton, eyelet lace, rush shipping. I watch the security footage 4 times. My movements are smooth, purposeful. I navigate the website without hesitation, enter my payment information from memory, click through checkout. My face is blank. The neurologist orders a sleep study. While I wait for the appointment, I don't sleep. I drink coffee until my hands shake constantly. I duct tape my bedroom door shut from the inside. I set up barricades, chairs, books, anything heavy. On the 5th night, I wake up in the laundromat. I'm standing in front of machine 7. The door is open. My hands are inside the drum, reaching for something. The lights are off. Only the emergency exit signs glow red in the corners.
The smell of mildew is overwhelming. My bare feet are cold on the tile floor. I pull my hands back, but there's nothing in the machine. But I can feel fabric between my fingers, thin and damp and impossibly cold. I run. I don't stop running until I'm back in my apartment, door locked, every light on. The next day, Richard calls me. He says, "I need to show you something." I meet him at the laundromat. He takes me to the back room, past the industrial machines, to a storage closet I've never noticed before. He opens it. Inside, stacked on metal shelves, are dozens of nightgowns, all vintage, all cream-colored, all eyelet lace with embroidered flowers. "I've been finding them," he says, "every week, in different machines. They appear after closing. The cameras don't show anyone leaving them." I count them. 23 nightgowns. All identical. "I think Margaret is trying to tell you something," Richard says carefully. "Tell me what?" "You're in danger. From yourself." I start to argue, then stop. The nightgowns hang in the dim closet like a chorus of warnings. I think about Margaret Chen leaning into the industrial machine, reaching for her grandmother's delicate nightgown, leaning too far, the door closing, the water filling, her hands scrabbling against smooth metal while soap and cold water. I'm at the sink, vomiting again. Richard hands me paper towels. "The sleep study," he says. "When is it?" "2 weeks. Make it sooner, please." I call the neurologist's office. I tell them it's an emergency. They move my appointment to Monday. That weekend, I sleep in my car in a parking lot under streetlights. I set 12 alarms. I zip my keys inside my sleeping bag. Sunday night, I wake halfway through the laundromat's window, my hands bloody from the broken glass, trying to crawl inside. A security guard pulls me back. Police arrive. I try to explain about the nightgowns, about Margaret, about the sleepwalking. They take me to the emergency room. A psychiatrist evaluates me. They admit me for observation. The sleep study happens in the hospital. They wire my head with electrodes and watch me through the night. At 2:33 a.m., I get up. Even restrained by monitoring equipment, I pull at the wires trying to disconnect. The technician sedates me. In the morning, the neurologist shows me the results. My brain activity during sleep shows severe parasomnia, REM sleep behavior disorder combined with sleepwalking. The patterns suggest it's been worsening for months. She asks about stress, about trauma, about changes in my life. I tell her about the laundromat, about Margaret, about the nightgowns. She listens without interrupting, then says, "The mind creates narratives to explain what it can't control. You've constructed a story around your sleepwalking. The ghost, the warning, it gives meaning to behavior that feels foreign. But Sarah, the only person in danger here is you." They prescribe medication. They refer me to a specialist. They recommend removing all internet-connected devices from my bedroom, installing alarms on my doors and windows, and having someone stay with me until the parasomnia is controlled. My sister flies in from Portland. She sleeps on my couch and checks on me every hour. The medication makes me groggy, but keeps me mostly still, mostly. I stop going to the laundromat. I use the apartment building's machines in the basement instead, only during daylight, only when my sister is with me. Richard sends the box of nightgowns to my apartment. The note says, "She was trying to help. I think she succeeded." I don't open the box. I donate it, sealed, to a charity shop across town. The parasomnia specialist explains that my disorder likely triggered the compulsive online shopping, that my sleeping mind fixated on the nightgowns for reasons we may never fully understand. Perhaps I'd seen an image of Margaret somewhere, a newspaper article, an old photograph in town records. Perhaps my subconscious built her into a protector, a warning system for my own deteriorating condition. I install a new lock on my bedroom door that requires a code I change daily. I wear a medical alert bracelet that sounds if I move more than 10 feet from my bed. I keep my phone in a locked box in the kitchen. I take my medication at the same time every night. But sometimes, doing my laundry in the basement, I catch a smell, rose water and damp cotton, and I turn around expecting to see her, Margaret, watching, making sure I'm safe. The cameras in the basement show me turning toward empty air. The specialist says the phantom smells are normal, a lingering symptom, a misfire in the brain's sensory processing. My sister says it will fade with time. But last night, I woke to find my hand reaching toward the bedroom door, fingers working at the lock, trying to remember the code. And for just a moment, before the alarm sounded and my sister came running, I felt it. Cold, wet fabric pressed against my palm, urgent and insistent. "Wake up," it seemed to say. "Wake up before it's too late." I'm awake now. The medication is stronger. The protocols are stricter. I haven't sleepwalked in 11 days. But I still feel her fingers on my wrist sometimes, pulling me back from the edge of something I can't see. And I still don't know if Margaret Chen is a ghost or a story I'm telling myself. I only know that somewhere in the space between sleep and waking, between what I remember and what I've forgotten, something is trying very hard to save my life. And I don't know if I'm listening closely enough.
Dryer number 7 with a basket of damp sheets pressed against my hip, watching the round window rotate in its slow, clockwork circle. It's 11:40 on a Tuesday, and the laundromat is empty except for me and the fluorescent hum that never quite syncs with the building's underlying vibration. The place smells like it always does, fabric softener layered over something metallic and old, the kind of scent that clings to your clothes even after you've washed them twice. I'm a third-year English student at the university 3 blocks north. I come here because it's cheap and open until 1 a.m., and because my flat's washing machine died in September and my landlord won't replace it until the new year. That's 2 months away. I've learned the rhythm of this place. The best machines, the ones that don't eat coins, the dryer that runs hot and finishes 10 minutes early. Number 7 is average. Middle of the left wall, eye-level window, nothing special about it, except it's usually free. The neighborhood outside is Victorian terraces converted into student housing, a corner shop that closes at 10, and a bus route that stops running at midnight. The laundromat sits in a converted ground floor of what used to be something else. The ceiling is too high, the windows too narrow and arched. The walls are that particular shade of cream that institutions use, marked with scuff lines from carts and baskets. There are 12 washers along the right wall, 8 dryers on the left, a change machine that works half the time, and 2 vending machines in the back corner near the toilets. I load the sheets into number 7, add the coins, set it to 60 minutes. The drum begins its tumble. I take my usual seat on the orange plastic chair by the window,
where I can see both the dryer and the street, pull out my laptop, and start reading the assigned chapters of Northanger Abbey that I should have finished last week. 15 minutes pass. I'm 3 pages in when I hear it. A thump from inside the dryer. Not the soft thud of heavy fabric hitting the drum, but something deliberate. A knock. I look up. The window shows only the rotating tangle of white sheets. I wait. Nothing. I return to the screen. Another thump, then another. 3 in a row, evenly spaced. Knock, knock, knock. I stand and walk over to number 7. The rhythm is wrong for unbalanced laundry, too regular, too purposeful. I press my palm against the metal door and feel the heat and vibration. The thumping stops. I wait 30 seconds, then go back to my chair. 5 minutes later, it starts again. Same pattern. 3 knocks, pause, 3 more. I stop the machine mid-cycle. The drum slows, stops. I open the door and pull out each sheet individually, shaking them, checking for something hard caught in a pocket that doesn't exist. There's nothing, just damp cotton. I load them back in, restart the cycle. The thumping doesn't return that night. I tell myself it was the machine settling, or air pockets, or my imagination leaning too hard into Gothic literature. A week later, I'm back with a different load. Towels this time. I choose number 7 out of habit. The same rhythm returns 18 minutes into the cycle. Knock, knock, knock. Pause. Knock, knock, knock. This time, I don't stop the machine. I crouch in front of it and watch the window as it rotates. The towels are dark blue and fill most of the visible space. Between rotations, I catch flashes of the drum's interior, metal, shadows, movement. Nothing that explains the sound. It continues for 2 full minutes, then stops abruptly. When I get home, I mention it to my flatmate, Kara. She's doing a psychology PhD and approaches everything like a research problem. Mechanical fault, she says without looking up from her laptop, or the building settling, old foundations. It sounded like knocking. Pipes, then. We hear patterns in random noise. Pareidolia. I don't bring it up again. The third time, I'm prepared. I bring my phone and set it to record audio while number 7 runs. It's Thursday, nearly midnight, and there's one other person in the laundromat, a man in his 60s reading a newspaper by the washers. He doesn't look up when I arrive. The knocking starts at the 12-minute mark. I hold the phone near the dryer door, watching the waveform spike with each impact. It's unmistakable on the recording. Deliberate, rhythmic, almost patient. I upload the clip to a Reddit thread about unexplained sounds in old buildings. Within an hour, I have 40 responses. Half suggest mechanical explanations, loose drum bearings, vent blockage, coins caught in the seal. The other half pivot immediately to the supernatural. Someone links a local history site claiming the building was constructed in 1892 as something called the Ashworth Children's Workhouse. Another user points out that laundromats are liminal spaces, prone to residual energy. I fall down the research rabbit hole until 3 a.m. The workhouse records are sparse but grim. Children as young as 6 operating industrial looms and presses in 16-hour shifts. Multiple deaths from machinery accidents and typhoid. The building was condemned in 1903 and stood empty for decades before being subdivided and repurposed. I read about a girl named Catherine,
8 years old, who died when her arm was caught in a mangle. About a boy called Thomas, 9, crushed under a fallen loom. About dozens of unnamed children buried in the paupers' cemetery 2 miles away. When I finally close the laptop, my flat feels too quiet. The knocking becomes a weekly occurrence, always number 7, always between 10 and 20 minutes into the cycle. I start timing it, logging each instance in a note on my phone. The pattern never varies. 3 knocks, brief pause, 3 knocks, silence. I mention it to the laundromat attendant, a tired-looking woman named Pauline, who works the evening shift. She shrugs. All building, love. Gets noisy. Have other people complained? Not to me. But when I check the Reddit thread again, 3 new comments mentioned hearing similar sounds at the same laundromat. One user claims they switched to a different location because it creeped them out. Another posts a photo of the building's exterior, pointing out the bricked-up windows on the upper floor and the iron grating still visible beneath layers of paint. Someone suggests I contact a paranormal investigation group. I laugh when I read it. Then I screenshot the thread. The investigators arrive on a Saturday in late November. There are 4 of them, 2 men, 2 women, all in their 30s, carrying equipment in wheeled cases. They've asked me to meet them at the laundromat at 11 p.m., after the weekend rush, but before closing. Pauline isn't working tonight. A younger guy I don't recognize sits behind the counter, absorbed in his phone. The lead investigator introduces herself as Sam. She's brisk, professional, the kind of person who fills silence with competence. Her team sets up quickly. A static camera facing dryer number 7, a handheld recorder, an EMF meter that one of the men, Chris, sweeps slowly across the wall behind the machines. Older buildings hold on to things, emotional imprints, structural memory. We're not here to prove ghosts exist. We're here to document what's happening and explore explanations. I bring another load of laundry. It feels performative, but Sam insisted on replicating normal conditions. I load number 7, feed in the coins, press start. We wait. The drum hums. The drum rotates. The fluorescent lights make everything feel overexposed, clinical. Chris walks the perimeter with the EMF meter, which produces a steady low beep. The second woman, Jess, films with the handheld camera, panning across the room in slow, deliberate sweeps. 11 minutes in, the knocking starts. Sam's head snaps toward the sound. Chris moves immediately to the wall behind a dryer, pressing his ear against it. The EMF meter's beeping accelerates, then flatlines. Jess adjusts the camera angle, capturing the dryer's window. Knock, knock, knock. There, I say, pointing. That's it. Sam crouches in front of number 7, one hand on the door, the other holding a small flashlight. She aims the beam through the window as the drum rotates. Knock, knock, knock. It's not coming from the drum, Chris says. He's pressed against the wall, eyes closed, concentrating. It's behind, maybe a foot back. Sam stands and looks at the attendant. Is there access to the space behind these machines? The kid barely glances up. Now all day, mate. Building plans? Sam asks. I pull them up on my phone. I'd found them on the council's planning portal days ago. The schematic shows the laundromat's footprint, but behind the dryer wall is marked as void space, with no labeled access point. A narrow gap, maybe 3 feet deep, runs the length of the building between the laundromat and the neighboring property.
Could be ventilation shafts or old chimneys, Jess suggests. Or someone's inside, Chris says quietly. We all turn to look at him. What? I ask. I've done enough of these to know what pipes sound like, what foundations sound like. That's knuckles on metal. That's deliberate communication.
Sam frowns. You're saying there's a person in the wall? I'm saying we should check. The attendant reluctantly provides a toolbox, and Chris uses a screwdriver to remove the vent panel at the end of the dryer row. It comes away with a screech of old screws. Behind it, darkness and a smell. Stale. Human. Wrong. Sam shines her flashlight into the gap. The beam reveals about 3 feet of clearance, support beams running vertical, and in the far distance, maybe 20 feet back, a shape. A sleeping bag, a pile of clothes, empty crisp packets. Jesus Christ, Jess whispers. Hello? Sam calls into the space. Her voice echoes flatly. Is someone in there? Silence. We're not police. We're not here to hurt you. Nothing. Chris pulls out his phone and turns on its flashlight, aiming it deeper into the crawl space. The beam catches something reflective. 2 small circles of light. Eyes. A figure shifts in the darkness, small, hunched. The sleeping bag rustles. It's okay, Sam says. We just want to talk. A voice emerges, thin and hoarse, male, young. Please don't. Don't what? Don't tell anyone. Sam looks at me, then back into the gap. How long have you been in there? No answer. Are you hurt? Do you need help? I just need you to leave. Chris steps back from the vent, lowering his voice. We should call someone. Social services, maybe? Or... No, the voice says sharper now. No police, no services. Just leave me alone. We can't do that, Sam says gently. You need food, medical attention. I'm fine. You're not fine, Chris says. You're malnourished and... I said I'm fine. Jack's voice cracks. He looks at me, then at the dryer, and I understand. You were knocking to see if anyone was near. He nods slowly. The dryers vibrate when they're on. I can feel it through the wall. If I knock and no one stops the machine, I know the room's empty. Then I can come out. For food, Jess says quietly. Jack gestures toward the vending machines in the corner. Usually after midnight, when Pauline's doing her paperwork in the back. Sam exhales slowly. And no one noticed? People heard, I say. Everyone turns to me. The Reddit thread. Multiple people heard the knocking. They all thought it was... I trail off, unable to finish. Ghosts, Jack says flatly. Yeah, I read the thread. It was pretty fucking funny, actually. He doesn't laugh. No one does. Sam convinces Jack to come out. It takes 20 minutes of negotiation and repeated promises that we won't call the police, that she just wants to get him food and somewhere warm. He eventually crawls through the gap, and when he stands under the fluorescent lights, I can see how thin he is. His wrists are skeletal. His collarbone juts sharp beneath the hoodie's neckline. Jess buys him crisps and a chocolate bar from the vending machine. He eats like someone who's forgotten how to pace themselves, hands shaking, barely chewing. Where are you from? Sam asked. Doesn't matter. Your family? Don't have one. Care system? Jack's jaw tightens. Rather die than go back. Chris and Sam exchange a glance. There's a protocol for this, I imagine. A chain of phone calls that will pull Jack out of this room and into another system. He seems to sense it too, because he stands abruptly, the half-eaten chocolate bar falling to the floor. I need to go. Jack. Thank you for the food,
He backs toward the vent and Sam moves to block him, but Jack is faster. He drops to his knees and scrambles back into the crawl space before anyone can react. "Wait!" Sam crouches at the opening. "Just wait, please." But Jack is already gone, the sound of his retreat fading into the dark. Sam calls a crisis outreach line. They arrive 40 minutes later. 2 outreach workers in high-visibility jackets who peer into the crawl space with flashlights and speak in gentle, trained voices. Jack doesn't respond. One of them, a woman named Yvonne, leaves a bag of food, a bottle of water, and a card with contact numbers near the vent opening. "We can't force him out," she explains to Sam. "If he's not an immediate danger to himself or others, we have to wait for him to engage voluntarily." "He's starving," I say. "I know." Yvonne's face is lined with exhaustion. But trauma doesn't follow our timelines. He'll reach out when he's ready, or he won't. They leave. The investigators pack their equipment. Sam gives me her card and asks me to call if I see Jack again. The laundromat attendant locks up early, still staring at the vent with a stricken expression. I walk home through streets that feel colder than they did 3 hours ago.
I return the next night. The vent panel has been screwed back in place, but I bring food anyway. A meal deal from the corner shop, a pack of biscuits, a flask of tea. I leave them beside dryer number 7 with a note. "You don't have to talk to me, just knock if you need more." The food is gone the next morning. This becomes my routine. Every other night, I bring something and leave it by the dryer. Sometimes the knocking starts while I'm there, but I don't approach the vent. I just sit in my usual chair and pretend to read, giving him space to exist without expectation. 3 weeks pass. The knocking continues, but it's different now. Shorter bursts, less regular. I wonder if he's working out which times are safest, which customers linger too long. I search for information about youth homelessness in the area. The statistics are worse than I expected. The care system's failures are documented in clinical language that doesn't capture the reality of sleeping in a crawl space through November. I find forums where former care leavers describe the exact calculus Jack must have made. Risk the streets, risk the hostels, or find a hidden space and defend it. I think about the Reddit thread, about how many people heard the knocking and chose to believe in ghosts because it was easier than considering the alternative, about how I'd done the same, about how the investigators had arrived looking for proof of the supernatural and found something far worse, evidence of collective failure. On a Friday in mid-December, I arrived to find the vent panel removed and 2 police officers talking to Pauline. My stomach drops. "What happened?" One officer turns. "You're the student who's been leaving food? Is he all right?" "He's in hospital, dehydration and malnutrition. Someone called it in this morning." "Was it you?" I asked Pauline. She won't meet my eyes. "He needed proper help, not..." She gestures at the space where I usually leave the food, not whatever that was. The anger surprises me with its heat. He trusted... "He needed medical attention," the officer interrupted. "You did what you could, but this is beyond..." "Where is he now? Which hospital?" "I can't share that information." "You mean you won't?" The officer's expression softened slightly. "He's safe. That's all I can tell you." I try to find him. I call the hospital switchboards, leave messages with the outreach team, check the crawl space on the slim chance he's been discharged and returned. Nothing. The vent stays closed. The food I leave sits untouched until Pauline disposes of it. Christmas comes. I go home to visit my parents and spend the holiday distracted, thinking about cold crawl spaces and sounds mistaken for hauntings. In January, I receive an email from Sam.
She's written an article for a paranormal investigation blog about what happened at the laundromat. The piece is titled, "When the Living Haunt the Living." It's thoughtful, self-critical, examining how we frame the unexplained and what we choose to ignore. The comment section fills with people sharing similar stories. Sounds dismissed as supernatural that turned out to be neighbors in distress, animals trapped in walls, structural damage indicating neglect. I write back thanking her. She replies with a phone number, Jack's, passed along through the outreach team. He's in supported housing now, she says. Stable, attending therapy, enrolled in a college course. He's asked about me. I stare at the number for a week before I text it. Just, "This is Fiona from the laundromat. I hope you're okay." The reply comes 3 hours later. "Doing better. Thanks for the food." We text occasionally after that. Short messages, practical updates. He tells me about the housing support worker, the therapist who doesn't push too hard, the cafe where he started doing kitchen work. I tell him about my dissertation, the flat's ongoing washing machine saga, nothing important. In February, he asks if I want to meet for coffee. The cafe is near the university, small and warm, with mismatched furniture and a chalkboard menu. Jack arrives 5 minutes late, still thin but less gaunt, wearing a clean jacket and trainers that fit. We sit by the window. "You didn't have to keep bringing food," he says, after we order. "I know. But you did anyway." It seemed like the least wrong thing to do. He nods slowly, stirring sugar into his tea. Most people just pretended not to hear, or they heard and didn't care enough to wonder. I thought it was a ghost. Everyone did. That's what made it safe. He looks at me directly for the first time. "You know what's fucked up? I knocked harder sometimes. Like if I was really hungry or scared, I'd knock louder, and people would just stop their machines and walk away faster." The weight of it sits between us. "I'm sorry," I say. "Not your fault." Still. We sit in silence. Outside, students pass in clusters, laughing, complaining about deadlines, inhabiting the casual safety of everyday life. "The housing placement's only temporary," Jack says. 6 months, then they'll reassess." "What happens after?" "No idea. Maybe nothing. Maybe back to..." He shrugs. "We'll see." I want to say something reassuring, but platitudes feel obscene. Instead, I ask if he wants another tea, and when he says yes, I go to the counter and order 2 more cups, while trying not to think about how fragile this moment is, how easily the systems that caught him could let go.
Spring term ends. I finish my dissertation, survive the defense, accept a teaching job at a secondary school in the next county over. I move out of the flat in late June, which means I finally stop going to the laundromat. Jack and I still text. Less frequently now, but the messages continue. He's been accepted into a longer-term housing program. The cafe has offered him more shifts. He's thinking about taking GCSEs at the Adult Learning Center. In August, I go back to the neighborhood to collect mail forwarded to my old address. I walk past the laundromat out of curiosity. It's mid-afternoon, bright and crowded. Through the window, I can see someone loading dryer number 7. I think about the boy in the wall, about the sound of knocking mistaken for ghosts, about how many people heard him and chose the easier story, about how I'd been one of them. The dryer starts its cycle, and I walk away before I can hear whether it makes any sound at all. On nights when I can't sleep, which is more often than I'd like to admit,
I think about those 3 months, about the crawl space behind the machines, narrow and dark and cold, about the choice to knock, to risk being heard, to hope that someone might eventually wonder. I think about the Reddit thread, still live, still accumulating comments. Every few weeks, someone new discovers it and adds their theory. Residual energy, electromagnetic anomalies, traumatic imprints. The truth is documented lower down, in an edit I added after everything. Update. The sound was real. A homeless teenager was living in the building's crawl space. He's safe now. Most people don't scroll that far. I've disabled notifications for that thread, but sometimes I check it anyway. The pattern continues. Someone hears something unexplained, seeks supernatural explanations, moves on without investigating further. It's easier, safer, less demanding. I don't have a moral to offer. I don't know what I should have done differently, or whether anything I did mattered beyond postponing the inevitable. Jack is housed now, but temporary, and the systems that failed him are still failing thousands of others who've learned that knocking brings no help, only speculation. The laundromat still operates, dryer number 7 still runs, and somewhere in the city, in the spaces between buildings, in the gaps we've designated as void, someone else is probably hiding, calculating their survival, learning which sounds we'll mistake for ghosts.